here at the still end of the pa was the most prominent feature here. There was a mound. There was a mound here, and in the mound, under the mound covering up was an altar, and on the altar they were cremating bones where you're standing. We're recording.
So this was a tuahu at one stage.
This was.
So they've destroyed
and then they
it.
used it for cremating.
Yes.
And after that they covered it with a mound. Can't have that. We are Maori. In our minds, we only get Maori is what schools tell us as children. Therefore, we'll clear this area, push the bones over the bank, and have a helicopter skid site for the helicopter landings. And my letters to the council and everyone else just went unrecognised. No, tourism first, tourism first. So we used
Te
whānau Taupo Moana record keeper, Saturday 19th of March. We're just on our way to Whakamoinga Point. If you'd like to scroll around to our boatman here, this is Ted Palmer. And if you scroll around pan around to Stuart, Buckland, and of course Perry Fletcher. So we'll see you all over at Whakamoinga Point.
We've gone past several pa. One later one had massive bracing posts over the years, have long been washed off. I've got great black and white photos of them, and that would complemented the great palisade pa called Waitanui at Tikanu, down that end. But back here there was some serious pa, big cultivations going right to the hills, burial placements at different times and places. But we're going the opposite end now of the bay, so we had the Kuta pa at the end of the bay, above the rock carvings there. The complementary pa of a cliff fort type is at this end, and this is where we go facing over here. And you see those rocks in front of us? Yes. Those rocks, and that was a cliff fort, and it had more features on it, and hopefully we can be able to get to it or walk to it. There's a landing point here, and Jim Hill at one time had a cottage and what have you for there. But yeah, boaties for years had cleared the old canoe landings and made it easy for the bigger boats and that to launch in. And back here from the right side, the north side, to the corner of the bay was a series of big terraces, and big enough that they'd be defensive places in their own right. The prominent hill, the rise of that dead tree on the horizon the Maori said that was an urupā, but I found no justification for it. But they wanted that as the only urupā in the area, so they could develop or put trees, put developments or roads anywhere through there. So the interesting thing with this pa is on the southern side, at the base of it, about 15 metres away, is a line of big stones, rocks, and looked like at one time they were being besieged and people were hurling rocks off. And so where they were landing was exactly where they could throw rocks at an attacking party, advancing party. So you can read anything in the this place has been modified a bit, because they had the idea of landing helicopters and having people stay at a place there, and they were ignorant of the power and the earthworks, and so they to cut the track they went through and they modified something there. So if you're happy, I think the landing was easy here. Have you been to that landing?
Anaconda, White Tiger.
Original state with the posts and things, this was an old Maori canoe landing originally. Was it? Yeah. So they had the cliff fort here for them, and the terraces and the setting. It's As I say, I had some bigger serious par down in the bay further down here.
Along that plateau?
Yeah, on the flat. So you use the original lake terraces to cut off and defend and block off.
Too bad. Can you get your feet wet there, Perry?
Well, I could throw my shoes off.
Yeah.
Tourism first. So where you're standing at this end was a mound covering a collection of a placement of stones, and they had bones and that placed in them. And I noted the mound, I measured the mound, and that confirmed one time, one of my visits, some of the bones were exposed to erosion. And then this, when they got through, cut the track through the earthwork up here, and all that time they didn't want to know about this par or part of their history or anything else. So this, where you're standing now, was, oh well, this is good, but no, this isn't good, because there was a mound here, there was a collection of stones, a tuahu, and this overlooked the whole bay, and they overlooked at the other end, the Kutapa, the similar cliff fort at the far end of the site. So unfortunately, when damage was being done, and we still had something, they wouldn't let me take photos. I can't have photos for a record. So it's been years since I've been back, but you might find the odd trace of charcoal.
So these are modern, put in this bit of wood here.
This is modern.
So there's a step, obviously a path continues around this side.
Well, that just drops away, so that goes nowhere really.
Okay.
It's more animal track.
Yes.
So these features, so I've got the whole lot. I've got all the pits, the earthworks, the big earthwork. I used the soil from the ditch to put up here, make an extra bank. And we were just at Bully Point, and there was a similar structure there that they used the ditch to add on top of the thing. So I thought I'd take you here, where you could take photos and that from the boat of this as a cliff fort, but it looks an interesting, imposing rock, but quite different when all this cleared. Yeah. When you're on top, you can imagine the palisades, the defensive works, and the extension of terraces and that they had in this sheltered area of the bay. As I say, the features extend right to the right corner up the hill, whole series of nice terraces.
Yes.
This way.
All to the corner. You only saw a defensive place.
Yes.
Yeah, this is just part of an over wider.
I'd love to see the map, to see the job where you've marked the different perimeter pits and features. It'd be good to marry into this story.
Could slip that in with my in this editing.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. It's got a line of a terrace right along there, isn't there? Right
Yes. And it's some of those terraces they used for either settlement or for that's the old lake bench.
Oh, okay.
Either settlement or
Gardens.
Gardens and some of the occupation defences. Do you want me just to give them a narrative and I can give you photos?
Yes.
A lot easier me giving you photos of the mine shafts. A lot easier to give you the gold mining cottage there.
Yes.
It's a rock stone, typical South Island Otago or goldfield hut.
Picking you up real clear.
Yeah, it's all in there. All in there. So I've got photos. So best me to speak to this. Now what we had about 1910 was Professor Martin from down Wellington. He came up and he laid claims and sold shares out to I think the hut at Tai Happy and here. Now I've been around, I've walked around, as I say, everywhere in the bay and that, and you get the rocks in that round here quite sparkly, quite shimmery and sparkly. And what he did, he then put shares for gold mines, Professor Martin, and he'd salted them. But it didn't stop people coming on the strength of the shares, setting up a gold mining camp, a house. It was the only gold mining structure got round the entire lake as a typical stone gold digger's hut. And there were two shafts. One I took before, one collapsed, and the other, but they went in the side into the hills, went up and down, the inland and the side. So that was one of our things. But since then, it's like the person that founded Taupo, a drunken constable, and the person that gave name to this entire bay was a fraud, a swindler. And how far do we go back to our founding illustrious colonial ancestors? Were they in it for the love of setting up families and that, or in for a quick money and stuff the money in your bag and run? So that's the story of here.
Is the stone hut still standing?
Yes. How long does the stone hut, like in the Targo and that, stand? It stand for centuries.
Stands as long as someone doesn't push it over.
Well, no. The using netting and the use of a boat and all of spear and spades and everything else. Most of
that, how long did the mining operation last for? Like, was it just a matter of a few years?
Oh, just a matter of a year or two, and then it was exposed and down south, and this all folded up. But the structures are most interesting structure of
We'll have to return one day, Perry, because I really want to see it.
Well, as I say, we're in an inland sea here, 100-mile coastline I've walked and around, and you can spend a whole day at one thing. We can see half a dozen things like we're trying to do on the fly to get a familiarisation. But everything is getting the wow factor. Oh, must return here, must see this, didn't know that. Why doesn't anyone somewhere else? Okay, so this now is Kaiapō Bay. Kaiapō. And on the higher ridge, the 600-metre contours, the open pits I said, and they've got matching ones for Kaiapō Bay. That's where the ones that got the hungy stones and that they brought from the down the end of the lake. So we'll whiz past this point, and just past there's some rata trees, and that was used for a survey line at this end, and at the other end of the bay at that headland, and that's Titarata, and you've got Itarata, a point there. That was a cliff fort there. That's a cliff fort. But the only way, it's impossible to get access inland, was an out and out thing. If you had canoes and that, war parties could go by, and it wouldn't be worth the attempt to try and besiege it. See that high hill here?
Yes.
When Ngāti Kuraputo tried to come down to Whakamaru,
Yes.
and was resisted by Tainui, he came and landed here, and this is where he came out. This area was occupied by Ngāti Hutu. He surrounded Ngāti Hutu on the top of that hill there, called, that's
The Japanese.
that's the Kaipayuki's other side, but on top of that hill, and that's Munganui Watai.
Monganui
Watai. Watai.
Awatai.
And the burial grounds, the whole area, 200 acres, was a reserve in the 1880s, and now Doc's got half of it and Farm's got the other side. But you see where Doc's been proactive, killing all their exotics, although it's all on Maori land, the wildlings. But when they came through, a group of Ngāti Hutu were here, entrenched themselves, and they're never overrun. TeWhare tourists said, oh, they're all overrun, knocked on the head. But the Ngāti Kuraputo intermarried with them. This was before TeWhare Tower, and they secured all the northeast side of the lake, as I said in our early narratives. And now lake's going down. We might visit a couple of places that we were up to our knees in water. But here, according to this map, and they won't change it, the geologists came, 1920s photos and maps, and they recorded this, what we're looking at here, as Mason Rock.
Yes.
Now Mason Rock here, and the grids and that, is this place here. Now there was some habitation here. I've got that marked as a site. Yes. I've got about 10 sites here. I've got all Maori names going right through for the side. And I walked all these hills, and I've actually walked right across to Kinloch, from here right across. So I'm familiar with the land. But this area, a Mason Rock, and that's always been an anomaly, an error. So if we go down here, what you got here, that is, see the sun on top, and you can take photos, well you can now, of it. That's your cliff fort. That's another cliff fort.
Okay.
Wow.
Now you can't get to it either side, and beach down here you have to go about 100 metres down, climb up and get on the ledge and then get to the back, and there's a big ditch around at the back.
Yes.
And because it's mostly rock, there's very little they could have for houses or anything, and so it's a defensive place. But from the other side, all the canoe landings, and there are 30 canoe landings on that side, they're all facing out toward here, angled out toward here, as if it was a quick retreat place to come to. So that's another cliff fort. It might be a Ngāti Hutu one. I've taken a great photo from on top when I monitored the W2K track, and where the track comes around here. You know, I took a photo looking down on that here. And so as I say, that's another one that's not easy to get up. But if you take us to the rocks, we can show the great geological feature that Jeffrey asked me, always a minute after I was going to ask him. And we can see the features that he mentioned. The water's quite deep straight down to where it is, so you.
So they escaped to here to defend themselves and save their lives, and they wait for the enemy to go away. They're sick and tired of waiting for them. Yeah. Must have been desperate though at the sea. Attacking force run out of food, didn't they? Yeah, so there'd always be people going off hunting.
And he wants to see that boat out, had geological features.
Supply chain. Yeah, that's why people became so big in the front. Yeah, that's why. Hitler ran into trouble in Russia in the Second World War, didn't he? Couldn't supply his troops with that.
I think President Trump the same thing.
Exactly right.
Wow, yes. It's really hard to access that place.
Oh, wow. What is that?
It's almost basaltic exploded out hexagonal compression of a volcanic outpour. When we get into the shade, out of the sun, you might be able to get photos here. But what a feature. That was Mason Rock. Geologists had 1920 photos, Mason Rock, and now the maps have got it over there. And so even our maps, we've only got about 2 names in this whole bay. They've done away with about 20 Maori names, and Whakaipo Bay from Rua Whakaipo, which was an 1850s settlement at the end there.
So this is the photo, black and white photo you have it.
I've taken a whole series of photos. But,
that's fantastic, look at this. That is a beautiful geological feature. I wonder what the Māori name for this place is.
well, again, when you haven't got a tūwhare toa or a single one around in this district that knows anything about these places, how do you expect them to have names and histories? And when I went to the council for the cultural unit to put this as a power site,
Yes.
I can't have that as a power site, we'll put it as an ancient kainga, because it wasn't on their books for tūwhare toa or anything else. So this is part of your suppression of their own histories,
Yes.
not their histories, but other histories. Great, eh?
That is just awesome.
Just in sections, isn't it?
That, it's like, yes.
Do you know about this formation, Ted?
Do you know about this?
No.
See, I can peak boaties, fishermen. I know where the best fishing places are, all in this bay. But this is part of our journey, isn't it? Your narratives.
You, so it's good.
Yes.
Yep.
So
Wow, I would love to know the Māori name of this rock.
yes, and how will that help you?
That's
Got on here the point.
Rather than call it Mason.
No, we're going there next.
That's how
Just up here. look.
We're going round the
So on
corner.
this one, Mason Rock, I presume,
Mason.
is that round thing there.
No, that's not a.
looks like it's exploded, eh? The rock.
So you just
I've got Mason Rock here. Yeah. But where it's just a generalised thing.
Dramatic. That's what it is, eh? It's dramatic.
So this is Ngāti Hotu. This was old Ngāti Hotu area's occupation, and initial Polynesian style gardens and that they set over the bay here, across the bay from here. I walked all through these areas, hills, bluffs and rocks. There's scarcely anything of a cultivated nature on the side.
Well, it looks like it's really hard to even just land anywhere.
Well, if you land when it's lake or get off the boat, you can't go up here. The banks are sheer. You have to go right to that corner, scramble up the lake. The first time I walked across the other side, I completely bypassed it. It was so, once you're up top, you miss it altogether because of the access. You'll see how it stands out, and you look at the higher bluffs and that all behind it. And yet this was the one they chose, not the higher one, but this one they chose to do the ditch and use as a defensive. So you're getting an interesting little doco, mini doco put together.
Very good, thank you. Thank you, Ted. We've seen all this from the land.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, not all of it, but we've walked
Pretty
a hell of a long way.
Different perspective in both.
And the walking cycle track's just above there on the higher ridge.
Yeah, I've been around
On top. I monitored all that for them, right through to Waihaha.
Oh, yeah.
Crack going up through that rock there.
I see it.
Yeah.
See, there's a little dash of red there. See that little red?
Yes, yes, I see that.
But I've looked at it, and I'm more certain it might be natural. But then who's to know?
Yes, exactly.
Oh yeah, it's more sheer. The entrance is more straight up and down. As I say, there's a karaka around the corner from here.
I think you'd have trouble getting off.
No, what you do, you save months
Inflatable
of.
or something.
What you do, you save months of skin and fur and use my photos and ground plans. Much easier that way. But just talk to it like this. Now what Nick Tupara and others expert in Kokowai, they got the idea there because there's no habitation or anything you can get to here. And so the sacredness and the purposefulness of not the big shelters and accessible, but these out of way places that put Kokowai in. And Nick Tupara was on the opinion that that was also used for burning and cremating bodies because he saw so much black fatty smoke there on the walls. And many of the cremations they did were taken over and put up on those crevices and the banks on the other side there.
Right, right.
So I'm not looking at one place as a fixed place, I'm looking at the overall movements.
Been some big slabs broken off up there, haven't they?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought it was cave.
I'd like to see one coming down.
I don't.
Are these karaka trees, these?
Those are the bright orange, bright leaves are karaka. And they're only found in the oldest of places around Taupo. They've had to be brought in and deliberately planted. I showed you Jeffrey's climbing up a big karaka at Hallett's Bay. We've got some name in the history for that. So when they're Kokowai marks, whole applications, big splashes and applications all done, and 2 or 3 types of pigment indicating used by different people at different times.
Different colours?
Different,
colour?
red, orangey, you know,
Yes, yes.
different
Yes, yes.
colours and tones. Enough of excitement for the botanical and the artistic and the park construction here.
What's that big square thing? Looks like a slab of concrete.
Yeah, it's just the way it's just broken off. We go now coming up here. We've got our cameras all live. See that rocky point and the hill on top there?
Directly in front of Jeffrey is what you're saying.
Yes. So we keep going past here, and the next bay, and looming just coming ahead is that headland part.
Yes.
Now I've been on top of that.
Yes.
I'm probably the only one that's ever been for hundreds of years.
Yes.
And there still remains a palisade post. And they actually were laboratory digging into the rock to secure the posts as a defensive work. And this is why I mean, there's no way, there's only room to bring a canoe in and to drag it up, and you'd be safe from any war parties and that on the land. They wouldn't bother coming in, you know, if there were war parties moving through the district. I think it's this here. This is your that's
Mason Rock.
no, that's a that's the Tarata.
Oh. Okay.
There was remains of wood, palisades and different things, because this is a estate as old as it is, has missed all the fires, the bushfires and the burn-offs and everything else. So some of the wooden features have been preserved that way. So just in this little stretch I've shown you, never mind the general power sites, and now I've just shown you 3 cliff forts, of which the history gives nothing for this area, nothing for this northern end of the lake. And up top there's a whare on top, and it's about 15 square metres. And it would have just been a whare, and this ground space in which the whare is, 15 square metres, would just be enough to give. You can pull in that, don't pull in, but the only access I got was in there, that corner, and climbing up, and they had laboriously cut holes in rock to put their palisade posts as a holding and marker. So it's amazing little cliff fort, and my idea was it would only have held and supported 1 or 2 families. 1 or 2 families. An absolute out and out retreat place. And this is where the person here connects with Broadlands, marriage with me here and all those. And this is where Tahuna Tara point the other side. You've got Tahuna Tara at Ohaki, and this is where you the people here for 200-300 years between the bays. They supported themselves as an entity, but all their history and everything's just been lost. Now we're going okay for time, Ted?
I'm right, yeah.
And the
50 metres deep right here. 50 metres. Oh. Up to you can see the rock.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, it won't get very wet.
Where is Jeffrey?
Up here.
You see this here, they put in steps, so I'll come up, but this is all, if you take notice, this is all high concentrated ash, black, massive thing. This here had a midden, and what I couldn't get the trustees. If you have a look here, see the deposit, the line of fires, continuous fires and things here.
Wow.
and there's bits of shell. Now up here there was a midden, but at one time Jeffrey had human bone in it, and up here might have been bones and that, but that was part of the midden bones. That's why I say about we used to come up here. But what they did, this is an archaeologically sensitive place, and the kids from Kinloch came, used to camp here, shovel everything out, put their tents in up, and I was trying to tell the trustees, look, put a sign up, put something. It had shell, it had obsidian, it had everything here. And the archaeologists, they did a collection and they put it at the back here, but all that's all gone disturbed. And this is one of the things where I had trustees with a boat for their land and that. Couldn't even get them on the boat. We had a boat ready. No more important to go to fielding or something. And this was quite sensitive here. And what I want to do now, so this is what they've dug out. These kids, some terracing. Above that level, and get that higher level, and then in there it's all being worked. One of the pumice containers I got was 3 months after I'd been there, and the pigs had dug it out by the side of a storage pit, threw it on the ground. So I took that to the museum. Got some overhangs up there,
Yes.
but coming back, there's one place, one rock, and it's got a very big, vivid red application.
Yes, yes.
You could see, and that's lower down. But we might be able to see from the lake the Kokowai mark at those rocks down here.
Looks like there's quite a big cave up there, or overhang.
Yes, but lower down in a small shelter, there's a very big, bright ochre application. Very big, bright one.
Down here?
It's coming down from the cave down through here.
Oh, is that the cave? Is that the cave you talked about? You know.
I talk about many caves.
I know, but when we was on that point there, you pointed.
I just said there was one with a
out.
big, bright ochre
Yes.
application. Big one,
Yes.
big one. Not as big as the ones down here.
Okay.
But it's over here.
No, over here.
Right. Well, when I come back in the kayak, I'll take some photos. Go climb in there.
It's pretty well at ground level. As I say, you have to go on this higher terrace and follow along. That's why I say it's a mission to try and walk from the beach this way.
Yeah.
Stone lager. 20 metres out.
Yes, yes. What a pukeko.
So Kokowai mark there, and the ones at the cave we just seen, Jeffrey.
Well, documented them, but not these ones. No food for you, duck.
And you should be able to see the Kokowai mark a couple of 100 metres out from the lake, with the sun catching it when it gets out of that cloud.
Well, certainly seen some potential summer homes, sites.
When you talk about these old paths, what year are you talking about?
Everything up to the Muscat period, early 1800s.
But when did they start to be settled?
The treaty abandoned them overnight. Over there, the rocks inland, a couple hundred metres out from the beach, you should be able to see from the boat an ochre application when the sun hits it. We've been at the beach and taken photos, but I wonder if you just go over there, you might be able to get a photo of it.
Right into the corner. Yes.
Come out of it. Oops, sorry, I'm getting carried away. Move to the rocks. See a yellow marker?
Yeah.
Just go out left of that. A couple of metres away from that line of rocks.
Put it back over there.
And as soon as the sun comes out of that cloud, you might be able to catch it. The sun comes onto that rock face.
Kids up there on that rocks up there.
Don't have to go any further, go straight left a bit. Now, can you see it?
Yep.
You
Can
can.
you see it, Jeffrey? Oh yes, there it is. So if you look halfway down that rock face, you're going to see some black and you're going to see some red.
Well, the sun comes on it.
It's a rectangle red ochre marking, and it's quite big. It's like the size of a flat. So we've been underneath it. We've walked.
When would that have been put there?
Can you answer that question, Perry?
What?
When would that have been put there?
That was put there when there was a great slaughter took place here. I figure people from Ropo here, they were surrounded and cut off, a group of them, and they were killed and fleshed. And they took so many bones and they threw them down a crevice, and they put a tapu marker up there, was put up about 5-6 metres above the surface, and it could be seen from out in the lake.
In 1800.
Well, even before that, I
Right at the back. I think it was the signal, for people to know.
so it was meant to be seen out in the lake. That's where coming in, and there was another one over there, round the corner, and got the picking up the duck food.
Picking up the food. If they like cheese or not.
Yeah, this is you wouldn't know.
Yeah, but who knows? Well, we've had enough for the afternoon.
Thank you.
Want to pull us in the shade more?
Sure.
Here we go. Dappled light. Nice.
Dapple light.
Right,
We're just looking at the map of the lake. This is 1984 map. I've done work lens and survey, and a couple of the sites I had, I just recorded, they put on this map. But we're just talking here with the time. This morning's the first time I've had for a couple of weeks that I've had been able to spray a roof with the light and that.
Yeah.
It's just been too windy.
Yeah.
And it's a bit the same with the boat. These boat trips.
Can you just go over for Ted the two different trips we're wanting to make, and see if he thinks they're feasible in the time frames we're talking about?
Okay, we've been all round on the land and in the car and taking photos and that, and we're talking off roads and beaches and that. But this one, to stop at a couple of features, we thought here for my thing, if we could come around here, and I can talk about a couple of places, just point them out as we pause. We could go through here. I think there's a landing here, and there's a little cliff par here, cliff fort.
Yeah.
And then from there, it's just a walk around the old house. So it's Jim Hill's place, and then go around here and stop. If we could stop in at Mine Point, I can show the sites and where the name was given for Mine and Mine Bay. So it's stopping in here, and round Kaiapua Bay, where we were off the road, we're talking into the road at places here. But for here to go around here, and from off here, you go across here. Now they've got Mason Rock here, and that's in the wrong place. The geologist in the photo 1920 shows that the Mason Rock was further south here. Oh. So we take a photo, stop, kind of cruise past here, and I know about Maori names from different places here, but that can be just talked to as we're being filmed and driving over. But there's a place here against the rocks. It's steep. But there's a place here that they possibly step off the bow and have a look. It's got some rock art that you could.
What is the name of that place, Perry?
I haven't got a name.
Oh, okay.
I haven't got a name because this is south here. Now from here, take photos here, and this Tarata Point, and that's Cliff Fort here. Cliff Fort. I've been on top, but it's a very tiny place up top, but it's very steep. But you should get some good photos. They attempted to take a photo of, attempted to build a par here, but that didn't look like finished. I was just pointing out before we left, on this side by some rata, and this line here, see it line up? You can pick it up. It went right up to Aotearoa, and another line here was 40,000 acre strip, and Sir George Grey got it entitled to himself to stop the Maori contesting land on Maori on that side. So to solve the dispute, he put it into him, title to himself, 40,000 acre strip. But that's just a little by the way. and to go around here, in one place is worth stopping at, as you can land. There's this Paparo Point, and that is significant. Well, that was as significant as the one at Cape Jerusalem Bay here, Utaparo Point, and that's a small one, easy to walk and get into, and good landing place, and there, coming down here, there's a little causeway, a little drop to the island, a causeway there, but to go past there, and hopefully we can, 300 or so metres out, to be able to see that great ochre mark, that ochre mark that's we stopped and talked to, and we've already recorded. And I think that would be more than enough.
Oh yes, you'll be half a day mucking around there, eh?
Right. And so from here we've been we've done the Kinloch, we've done for Kaipo in overland, and we've been at the point here. But we might have
There's also somewhere you might want to point out, Perry, Motu Taipo, where that is on the map, and because that's going to be a place we visit at one stage.
Motu Taipo Island is here. Motu Taipo Island.
Right, so we're going to be having an excursion around Motu Taipo as well.
You just showed me a quill feather. So when I'm talking about our journeys, we're doing the flight of the taiko.
Ah, Motu Taipo. So is that an old manu?
And so here, with the radius, they always measured, Maori could measure an idea of distance if they observed the flight of the taiko. So if they put a radius around from the flight of the taiko, they could say it was so many miles.
Wow.
So many miles.
And,
so they had an accurate distance of the average journey that the taiko took from the island where it landed inland.
So is that, I've never heard of a bird called the taiko. Is it an extinct bird, or is it just been called something else?
Might be under something else now. This is all information I got and recorded, and even in the handwriting from the old people.
Wow, I thought, I'm presuming it's extinct. Is it a kind of a duck